Okay. Yeah. In
No dearth, no dearth.
no dearth even after giving,
Or giving
or
even when not
and
given
when
and what one doesn't have.
I didn't get it. What is the question like? I mean, we are talking about charity.
Charity.
Okay.
No, Dana, the other day you said it is about having no dearth even after giving.
Yes.
Or is it giving something that you don't have?
See, the first and foremost, what you have in very little quantity and you give.
Hmm.
Okay. Let us say, for example, you have 10 rupees and somebody asks you for 10 rupees, you hand over the entire 10 rupees to that person. Okay. That is one aspect to it where you are having it for certain of your own purposes. You have kept it for something. Okay. So that means what you have done is you have kept the money for a certain purpose and then you are giving it to somebody else. So that is the first aspect to it. Second aspect is when the person asks you for it and then you give it. That's another type. The third type is a person, you see that the person is in need, you have 100 rupees, so you remove a certain percentage of your own. That means you remove from your 100 rupees, you remove 10 rupees and you give. Okay. And the last one is a person, the person has not said that he wants, or he is not even come and asked you for anything. Yet, with your inner feeling, you have an understanding ki, yes, this person desperately needs the money, so you remove it and give it to that person. He is not asking for it, but yet you give it. And you are not putting any preconditions to that. Preconditions in the sense ki you have to return this, or this is like a loan or something, like you're putting some riders in that. So that is the last part. So what happens in the first three? In the first three, it is given with an intention. The intentions and the reasons are very clearly defined. When the intentions and the reasons are very clearly defined, that means you can see that person is asking for it. You are giving a certain portion of it or the entire portion of it because the person is asking you for it. So this doesn't translate into what is called as a danat. It translates into what we call as a charitable part. You are doing some sort of a charity. Okay. But if you are going to ask for returns, and if you are going to ask for some thing on top of it also, then it becomes a transaction. Then it is business. Then it is a give and take. So the transaction cannot be mixed up with charity. A transaction is a transaction on one side, and a charity is charity on one side. Now we come to the last one which I said. The person has not asked you for it, yet you are giving. And it may so happen that you may entirely give whatever that is there inside, you just hand it over to that person. And you are not even expecting anything, or you don't have any idea or reasoning for that matter कि मेरा क्या होगा. ये सब कुछ thoughts नहीं है. When you do that, who can do that? That can be done only by a sage. It cannot be done by a normal human being. Because first and foremost, you don't even know whether the other person is asking you for it or wanting something. This understanding nobody has. A normal human being doesn't have an understanding that the person in front is asking for something or is having a paucity or limitations for this. So you are not even giving that person that. But a sage is having what is called as antarjnana. Antar, inner, jnana, knowledge. He has got the innermost knowledge that yes, this person needs something, and he gives it to that person. He may entirely give away everything that he has. That is then not a part of the material world. Okay, because in his world it is the divine object that is there. It is literally like giving somebody a paras money. You know, the magic stone that is there. You're just handing over that thing to that person. Are you giving it to that person with some intentions? No. You were having it first. So you could have made use of it yourself. But you find no use in that. That means there is no desire of any sort over there. If this kind of a thing exists, then it is called a dana. Okay. Person gives without any desires or reasons or anything attached to it. So such a person is not a part of the normal superstructure. He is a person who is outside of it. Now the moment we are going to start this the next canto, the next verse, you will understand this line very clearly. Okay, because I think this is from the past only, from the last times only. So the next line is very clear. So we will start. Okay, is that all right? So this is Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse 16. All right. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of the material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachments should be shown the way of transcendental realization by your goodness, through description of a transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. The Lord himself is unlimited. You don't have to bother about his limitations. He is unlimited. He is profound, vast, everything. All right. So in his world, he can be anywhere, any place, any time. So the knowledge transfer or the knowledge effulgence can happen anywhere, any place. There is no such thing as restriction. When we talk of enlightenment, the enlightenment can only be granted by the Supreme Divine Consciousness. Nobody else can grant it. Granting doesn't happen. I can't put a magic wand and say, oh, now you have got it. ऐसा नहीं होता. Only the Supreme Divine Consciousness, if the Supreme Divine Consciousness wants you to understand who it is, what it is, then you will get the knowledge. Correct? So at the end of the day, the prerogative is with the Supreme Divine Consciousness itself. All right. So here we are talking about the Supreme Divine Consciousness is unlimited. Now, who is the one who gets this transcendental understanding, who gets this knowledge? Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness. No desires, absolutely. A person who is desireless, absolutely desireless, and who is retired. Last time we were talking about how retirement happens, where you leave everything and you move on to a place where there is silence, peace, quiet, and you are not bothered about the material world. You are not bothered about. Yes. So basically beyond sannyas ashram. It's not sannyas ashram itself. It's beyond.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is the person goes into solitude. He goes into single person. He's lost in his own self. Such a type of a person who is doing his meditation and other activities connected with the Lord is completely lost in him. Such a type of a person, he is retired from activities of material happiness, deserves an understanding this knowledge of spiritual values. Such person definitely deserves it, and the Lord on his own gives it. So the Supreme Divine Consciousness grants them this type of a knowledge. But you have to have all these sacrifices to be done. You can't be sitting in the material world. So now he says, now the next thing that is being told over here is, therefore, those who are not so well situated, now we are talking about the next person, those who are not situated like this, those who cannot afford to do this type of a thing, who cannot go to the jungles and sit over there in solitude and doing japa and all those things. Suppose a person is not able to do that, then what happens? Maybe the concrete jungles, you can sit in middle of MG road. वैसे कटोरी लेके बैठेंगे तो चलेगा. So therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the way of transcendental realization. So we need to have a methodology of giving these people who are in need of, yet they have not gone to the process of sannyasa and all that. They are not there. They are not going over there. So we need to show them or no? So this question was asked. We need to show them. So what is the method? So by your goodness, please kindly show us this methodology through the description of the transcendental activity of the Supreme Lord. So when you describe the activities, the stories of the Lord, when you are saying these stories, at that time a person is in a position to reach the state of enlightenment. So kindly describe us this. One who has forsaken his material occupations as to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. Yet there is no danger of being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Now, here what does this line tell you, signify very clearly over here? Now, first and foremost, we were describing about the Swadharma in the last week, correct? There was a very big discussion on Swadharma which was put forward by Sutta Goswami, by Vyasdev and so on and so forth. Now we are taking it further. Now he is talking about a person. Suppose there is a person who is on the devotional path. He is there on the devotional path. Let us assume that the person is completely a devotee of the Lord. Now such a person, if he falls down, everybody has to go through the falling down phase. Please understand. Any person, any child who is going to walk has to fall down. Please understand this. Every child has to fall down. There are no two ways about it. Alright. So the person who is walking on the path of spiritual has to meet this thing which we call as the obstacles. Obstacles are there in the path so that they can be overcome. Why? Think about it. Why are the obstacles there? So that they can be overcome. See, today you understand this. Now if you are in the IT industry, okay. Now in the IT industry, suppose you are a person who solves a particular issue, okay. Now you may be a person who writes the code or something like that. Now there is a manager and there is a senior manager and maybe there is a general manager or somebody like that. Now the general manager has only reached there because he understands the basis of everything, isn't it? Now think about it. Can this person, this person whom we are talking about, a person who writes the code and so on and so forth, is this person in a position to rise above? No, he is not in a position to rise above because he is only focused in that little activity that he is doing. But the moment he does his work as well as another person's work and another person's work and another person's work, his manager or his senior will definitely understand his caliber. Correct? The person who understands the caliber, that this person has got a capacity of not only solving his own issues but issues of 4-5 more people. So can I promote him? Of course I can promote him. So as you proceed on the path of spiritual, you will understand that first and foremost you have your own problems and issues. Correct? So many obstacles, so many problems and so many you cannot overcome them, but you slowly overcome them, and you not only overcome your own but you are able to solve other people's issues as well. So are you not qualified to rise higher? As a human being, we look up to God for our any problem solving, correct? And what are we actually trying to say over here? You are supposed to rise to the level of realization yourself. That means you become one with him. So then people, are they not going to come and ask you for their issues? Yes, definitely. So those who can give will be promoted. And once they come to a level where they don't have anything yet they can give, the people who can create objects out of nothing, they have reached the state of godhood. So we have to now, with the path on spiritual is like this. It is difficult, it is troublesome. Think, you have 100 troubles. Let us say, for example, you have 100 obstacles and troubles to solve. Another person has another 100, another person A, B and C all have 100. Now you have such a great difficulty of getting over your 100 issues. How will you solve those other 3 people's 100, 300 issues? You can't. So till you do not promote yourself, till you do not understand, it's only when you are able to solve your own plus other few people's problems that you can rise above. And now think about it, that God is a person. अभी तुम्हारे 100 प्रॉब्लम तुमको झेपते नहीं है, लेकिन गॉड को तो पूरी दुनिया कायनात का है, the whole universe's problem he has to solve. Think. So that means how many issues. किसी को बच्चा चाहिए, किसी को पैसा चाहिए, किसी को कुछ चाहिए, किसी को बोला मेरे को कैंसर हो गया है, वो ये ठीक करो, वो ठीक करो. Imagine, it's a list of things that you got to do. So he has to do that. So that is the reason why this person has to overcome this. Though he is an immature person, but he has to overcome the issues. Yet there is no danger of being unsuccessful. The person is not going to become unsuccessful. The person will become successful. Trying is important. Doing is important. Just sitting हाथ पे हाथ रख के बैठने का नहीं, करने का, करना बहुत जरूरी. Yes, you have to strive hard. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Now, there is a non-devotee. He is doing his swadharma still, but he is not a devotee of the Lord. He is not going to get anything. There is no promotion, there is nothing, because he is like a machine. Now, why will I want to promote a mixer grinder or a washing machine? Think about it. Yeah, I can't make a washing machine God Almighty. Can I? No, I can't. So why will I? You'll have to mute your this microphone. So there is no gain in that. All right. Person who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for the purposeful end, which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmaloka due to the lowest plane. As far as happiness derived from sense of enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. Very interesting. People, those who are intelligent and philosophically inclined, should endeavor. What is their endeavor that they should have? Only for the purposeful end, which is not obtainable. That means what? What does a normal human being do? He is praying so that he gets heavens. Brahmalok. Brahmalok, not Brahma. Okay, Brahma. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Brahma. So Brahmalok में जाने के लिए the person is striving very, very hard. He may be philosophical, he may be intelligent, but that is not his goal. He is not supposed to be thinking about that as a goal. His goal is far beyond that, isn't it? His goal has to be to reach the state of enlightenment and cross beyond the Brahmalok and reach the state of the second divine unmanifest. So people are of two kinds. They either want to reach the Brahmalok or they want to reach the Patal Lok. So even in the Patal Lok, they want to become the king of that Patal Lok. They will say, nah, I want to become the devil incarnate myself. I am the devil incarnate. बोलते हैं ना लोग. You look at me, I am the devil incarnate. I can do this, I can do. मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ. Okay, such type of people are there. They want, either they want to rise or they want to go down. One of the two they want to do. Now, whereas the question of happiness is concerned, are we not supposed to strive hard for happiness? We have to, isn't it? You can't just say कि मैं बैठा हूँ, मेरे को happiness ऐसा झोली में डाल दो, ढप करके ऊपर से गिर जाएगा. ऐसा नहीं होता है. For everything, you have to work hard towards it. You have to actually go towards it. So here he says, as far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time. So as you move towards the enjoyment portion, you will find your happiness. Just at the moment you go to see a nice movie, you will feel happy about it, and when you come out of the movie, your satisfaction will be showing on the face, and you will say, ah, nice movie I saw. Okay, you have gone for a very nice dinner in the night and a good restaurant and everything was perfectly balanced out, and you had a very nice, you closed it off with a very good ice cream or something like that, and you feel so mighty pleased. बहुत अच्छा खाना हो गया. उसके बाद एक पान हो जाए क्या, पान मिलता है क्या, तो पान हो जाए, एक पान हो जाए। सो इट्स लाइक अ टॉपिंग इट अप, बोला हैप्पीनेस को एक है ना ऊपर से छोटा सा एक चेरी लगाते हैं ना केक को बड़ा, वैसा एक है ना बड़ा एक पान हो जाए। So
सोने
it's
पे
like that.
टिका।
Yeah. So everybody is going to move towards this direction. So as far as happiness is concerned, we slowly rise towards that. The same thing happens where your miseries are concerned. The miseries are also automatic. You are actually moving towards your miserable state. Think about it. You get up in the morning and the wife says to you, आज मेरा है ना मूड ठीक नहीं है, तुम जाके मेरे लिए चाय बनाओ, खलास फिनिश्ड। मतलब वहां पर से ही अपना मूड आउट हो जाए। बोला चाय, अच्छा ओके, बट यू नो आई हैव टू गो टू वर्क, इंपॉर्टेंट वर्क टुडे। अभी सडनली वर्क भी आया, आई एम गोइंग टू गेट रेडी, तुम एक काम करो, तुम एक चाय बनाओ और सो जाओ वापस। ओके, सो यू आर गिविंग हर स्मॉल दिस थिंग, and by the way, you have already begun the getting off from the wrong side of the bed. The whole day till the end is going to be wrong side of bed only. So whether you have begun till the end of the day, it's going to be going down, 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 down. That day itself you will find that you have a flat tire and you're not getting an auto rickshaw. The auto rickshaw whom you get is fleecing you, और 50 रुपए की जगह 100 रुपया लगा रहा है. Imagine all these problems are going to be coming. And when you reach the office, the meeting has already begun and the boss gives you a stare like this. Acha, क्या हो गया तो क्या? He doesn't say anything, but he is giving you a dirty stare. बोला अच्छा ठीक है बॉस, बाद में बात करेंगे. फिर उसके बाद वो तुमको बोलेगा तुम्हारा केडेंस रिपोर्ट तूने दिया क्या? लास्ट वीक तुमको बोला था मैंने भरने के लिए, तुमको ऐसा फिगर्स किधर है तुम्हारा? But I sent you. Oh, when did you send me? That was for the last week. For this week, who is going to send your father or what? चालू है. All of you are laughing, but I'm sure this is how the whole scene goes about, And you think about it, and you are giving 101 reasons why you have not completed the things. At the end of the day, आज का दिन ही खराब है. You come out with this. So this is what we are talking about. Just as in the course of time, we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. We are actually not desiring them. We are hoping, आज का दिन अच्छा जाए. We are only thinking, आज का दिन अच्छा जाए. But we are not desiring. But you see, the whole day has gone miserable. And you have ended it also like that. Okay? When you come back home, there is no food at home. And then you say, क्या हो गया, खाना नहीं बना? बोला तुमको मैंने बोला था ना मेरा तबीयत ठीक नहीं है. अच्छा ओके, अच्छा वो टेलीफोन नंबर निकालो, मैं बाजू के रेस्टोरेंट से मंगा लेता हूँ. बोला साले का है ना बहुत तेल डाल के बनाते हो. But still you have to eat it, you have no options. So we are always ending also in the same way. So it's a part and parcel, whether you're going upwards or downwards, it's the same thing. My dear Vyas, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or the other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruitive workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember the ecstasy again and again. This is basically the fifth stage actually, fourth and the fifth stage, where a person, he is already doing devotional service. He is already a devotee of the Lord. Now 101 times he is going to fall. Please understand, no, there isn't a single person who can not fall. Okay, everybody has to fall. All right, yeah, you have to be careful, you have to climb again, you have to keep on trying and trying and trying. But remember, the end result is always sweet, isn't it? You are anyway going to succeed, वो तो पहले से समझ लो. ठीक है, उधर अपना वशीला लगा दिया है. वशीला समझते हैं ना, मामूल ऑलरेडी घूस दे के रखा है डिवोशन का, तो ऑलरेडी रिजल्ट्स तो फाइनल है, लेकिन गिरने का है वो तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते. दैट यू हैव टू कीप ऑन फॉलिंग, 100 times you will keep on falling. So he says this, even though a devotee of Sri Krishna falls down somehow or the other he is going to fall down. And don't worry about it, the fall is always going to be कि जब ये है ना, I mean you are thinking कि ना today I will have some funds and I can do something. और देखेगा तो अरे today is a bank holiday, oh my god I can't transfer funds. Okay, मतलब और ATM जाएगा तो उधर ATM में बड़ा पाटिया लगा के रखा रहेगा कि ना ATM आउट ऑफ ऑर्डर. बोले वैसे ही भी है ना, हमको टाउन जाने का है, वहाँ के एटीएम से निकालेंगे। अब इंडिया में ये तो बहुत कॉमन है। एंड एंड व्हेन यू गो टू द एटीएम, यू आर नेचुरली व्हेन यू आर पुटिंग द कार्ड खा लिया उसने। फ्राइडे सैटरडे संडे 3 दिन रजा, कार्ड भी नहीं है, पैसा भी नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है। So you think about it, God, why are we doing all these things? But don't you understand that there is a reason for it? You know, the funniest reason is that you don't understand. He is doing it because you are not destined to pay that person. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, उसको भी दे। सोचो, just think about it. If that person gets the money, वो साला जाके है ना सैटरडे संडे उधर रेस में जाके लगा देगा। उससे अच्छा नहीं ना हो जाए, मंडे को ही दे देते हैं उसको पैसा। तो this is how Lord works. You know, he is very funny in his working. But we always think, you know, it's a failure. We always consider these things as the biggest failure in our life. मैंने तुमको प्रॉमिस किया था, मैं तुमको देने वाला। And you can't give him these reasons, you know. तुमको मालूम है मेरे घर का एटीएम चलता नहीं है। अच्छा, वो 3 बार मैंने इंटरनेट में है ना 3 बार है ना सोचा कि मैं है ना वो टाइप करके, every time I am typing it saying wrong password. Now my password is locked till Monday. I can't do anything about it. So wrong password, ATM not working, no money in the pocket. टाउन साइड में गया, एटीएम ने तुम्हारा कार्ड ने खा लिया, अभी क्या करोगे? बोला भगवान भी ऊपर से ऐसे देख के पूरा हंसता है, बोलता है इसका मजा देख रहा, ये देना चला था दूसरे को और इसको ही अभी जाके किसी से लेना पड़ेगा, लो। So it is a very funny situation, and this is how we actually go through. So now you understand this. So sometimes falls down, sometimes no, often he often falls down, and he certainly does not undergo material, but he is not going to undergo those type of problems which a normal human being has to undergo who is not a devotee. You see, a devotee of the Lord is cushioned. It's cushioned. He is not going to get into trouble. Whereas who a non-devotee, he is having to go into bigger and bigger and bigger problems because he is not cushioned. ठीक है ना? So this is what happens. So the fruity workers, because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. You know, after all that ATM ka chamatkar that happened till the end, no, finally, you know, you have got frustrated enough, no doubt about it, but ATM का बाहर आने के टाइम पे ना यही सोचता है, हाँ क्या तूने आज भी करके बताया बॉस, बहुत चालू है, अच्छा अच्छा इसका मतलब उसको देने का नहीं, चलो ठीक है जाने दो। और वो फोन पे ऊपर फोन कर रहा है, बोलते पैसा किधर है? बोला क्या करेगा? नहीं नहीं दे सकते आज, नहीं दे सकते, क्यों नहीं दे सकते? बोला भगवान ने देने का है ना, एटीएम ही बंद कर दिया। बोला नहीं कर सकते आज। It's like that, you know, it's the funniest thing that will happen. I gave you a very funny example which happens to literally, I have also gone through this, so I don't know what happens when you actually thought that you are having a money kept for something, it goes somewhere. There is a reason for it. You may not even understand why. The whys and the wherefores are never understood. So because when you are a devotee of the Lord, even you have to be always lost at the lotus feet. Don't bother about all these paraphernalia. वो क्या करते रहता है उसी को मालूम. The Supreme Lord Personality of God is himself that cosmos, and still he is aloof from it. From him only has the cosmic manifestation emanated in him. It rests and unto him it enters after annihilation. Your good self knows about all this. I have given you a synopsis. So here what Vyasmuni is. What does he say? The Lord, Vyasmuni को बोल रहे हैं, God, that's Krishna himself, is the Lord himself. और ये सब चीजें जो तुम पूछ रहे हो, ये सब all these things that you have asked me, these are part and parcel of his universe, and he is actually not involved in it, though you may think he is involved in it. सोचो वो आके क्या एटीएम के अंदर खड़े रह के उसने तुम्हारा ऐसा कार्ड खींच लिया क्या? जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इट. कृष्णा क्या उतना पागल है? वो अंदर खड़े रह के कार्ड तुम्हारा खींच लेगा. हाउ फनी कैन दैट बी? And you just imagine that he, as if he is doing. So please understand, he is still aloof. He is not at all involved in the action. He's actually, what is happening is his divine manifestation, which is one of the divine manifestations called Prakriti. She is working the magic everywhere. The goddess, okay, that's whom we call by the different names as Durga, Kali, all they are doing all this Kalakandi everywhere. Not him. He is least bothered. He बोलते सी बॉस, जब ये एकदम सुपर बॉस के पास आने का है ना, तभी बात आके बात करने का, अभी नहीं. Now you can talk to my downlines. So for him only, the cosmic, everything has come through him only. So let us not try to put the blame at his feet. Everybody what they do now, they want to put the blame at his feet. They want to cut his feet. His lotus feet, बोला लोटस का चटनी बना के हम लोग खाएंगे. लो कर लो बात, ऐसा नहीं करते. Don't keep on blaming him, because at the end of the day he is not involved in any of this. As a supreme divine being, as a supreme divine consciousness, there is no involvement per se. So now this, who is saying this? Narada is telling him, see, now you know about all these things now, okay, so you should be doing something about it. Your goodness has a perfect vision. He is telling Vyasmuni, your goodness has a perfect vision. You yourself can know the super soul personality of Godhead because you are present as a plenary portion of the Lord. You are one of the portions of the Lord. When we discussed how many avatars that are there, we discussed that even Vyasmuni is an avatar of Krishna himself, one of the avatars. So you are one of the avatars of Krishna himself. So you know about all these things. Although you are birthless, you have appeared on this earth for the well-being of all people. Please, therefore, describe the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, more vividly. So now, since you are one of the portions of him, you know very well how his stories have developed. So can you please kindly tell us the stories that are there? Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of the knowledge, namely austerity, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns, and charity, culminates into the transcendental description of the Lord, who is defined in the choice poetry. Now, what is it? I wrote one blog today in the morning. In that I wrote, we are literally after all kinds of nonsensical intellectual things that we are after. Now, I'm going to ask you one question. I don't know whether you read the newspapers, but think about it. In the last 2 days, there is one, Arvind is the name of the boy from New York City, who has won the spellings bee contest. You know that? थिंक वो सब इतना सब तिगड़मबाजी करने के बाद, वो इतना वर्ड्स बाय हार्ट करने के बाद या कुछ भी करने के, व्हाट इज द यूज? नो यूज. It's not going to give him anything. It's not going to give him any knowledge. Maybe he will be known in the papers for certain amount of time. Okay, after that it is just like Home Alone 1, 2 वगैरह हो गया. वो मैकॉली कल्किन करके एक लड़का था. Where is he today? Don't know. Okay, this material worldly knowledge, this is what I wrote about. ये ज्योग्राफी, हिस्ट्री, सिविक्स हम लोगों ने ऐसे बकवास सब्जेक्ट्स किए हैं. आज तुम सोचो, उधर राशन पानी के दुकान में या फिर तुमको कोई चीज भरने का है, सपोज you have to pay for some bill or something, your geography is going to come in use or what? No, but you have studied it. India is a great country which teaches every useless subject to every child. I mean, when at the last count, when I was in 9th standard, I had 20 subjects, and I didn't know. I had 20 subjects, boss, and I was wondering, ये साला 20 subject करेगा क्या? But करना तो पड़ा. I mean, imagine there is a child in Karnataka and he एक डांडी लगा देता है. कौन सा? कन्नड़ा में. But that guy is interested in going to Caltech, boss. उधर जाके कन्नड़ा का क्या करने वाला है? भाजीपाला. I mean, I don't understand why is he going to learn Kannada over there, but he has to do it. For what? No idea. Again, the spelling bee contest is in English, right? And this boy is an Andhraite. I mean, Telugu में बोलना मांगता था ना. spelling bee. Why are you doing it in English? The basic idea that the knowledge which is taught in the schools and the colleges is not going to do anything for you. Please understand this. Then what is the knowledge that is going to give you something? So this is where we are going to talk about. So he says, learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purposes of the advancement of knowledge, what is it that happens? What kind of knowledge that we are supposed to have? The knowledge about the transcendental supreme consciousness. That is it. What we will have? Austerities will come to you. How does it happen? When you are doing austerities, when you study the Vedas, you do the sacrifices, you chant the hymns, you do charity. Charity, I have explained at the beginning of this, culminates into transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined as a choice poetry. See, no geography, no history, no English, no philosophy, nothing is going to, no entry for you into the second divine that supreme divine consciousness का नंबर 2 नंबर इसमें कोई एंट्री नहीं. और सब में है ना, तुमने स्पेलिंग बी से लेके स्पेलिंग जेड तक किया रहेगा, कोई फायदा नहीं. उधर एंट्री डिसएंट्री, नो एंट्री. Krishna's domain you want entry, there is a very big he says these are the things I am looking at. I am not looking at you doing some knowledge from your school and colleges. But please don't tell this to your children, okay? Otherwise your children will say tomorrow, you only said, Krishna has said don't learn. So from tomorrow Senthil's son will say, Dad, I will talk about metaphysical from tomorrow. I am not going to talk about anything. That is not going to work. So what it means is, for us, for people like us who are on the spiritual path, the material worldly knowledge is of no use at all. We can only reach this transcendental knowledge along with, how do you do this? We have to perform sacrifices. We have to chant the Vedas. Vedas means you should know the frameworks properly. Austerities we have to do. We have to study the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns and charity. All this culminates into the, when we do all these things, it is going to describe only the true essence of the Lord. O Muni, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maid servant, engaged in the service of Brahmanas who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. Now, in this, Narad Muni is telling his story to Vedvyas. What is he saying? Now, Narad Muni is talking about in his last birth. Correct? That means there have been multiple births. So Narad Muni is a phenomena which keeps on coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. Okay, please understand this. His job is to only sing the praises of the Lord. So he takes various avatars. He's taken various avatars in various millenniums, and he keeps on coming time and again, time and again. So last time when he had come, I was born as a son of a maid servant. There was a maid servant, and I was born as her son, engaged in the service of Brahmanas, who were following the principle of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal services. Now, we have this season, 4 months, it is called Chaumas, which is practiced by most of these very devout people. What do they normally do? Is they either gave, yes, Chaumas, Chaturmas, you can call it either ways. They go and they stay in a holy place, or they spend their time only in the confines of their house. They don't go outside. It is during the time of Buddha also, Buddha's practice was also to do the same. For 4 months he would never get out of his place where he was staying, and this is a part which most of the people in the ancient times used to do. There is also the great feast at Pandharpur, where everybody goes over there and they stay over there. It also happens during that time. This is a time when a lot of these sages go and stay in one particular location for 4 months till the rainy season doesn't get over, till that time. So that is the Chaturmas. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty and I did not speak more than required. So he was a nice boy. He didn't speak more than required. And the people that his mother was working for, all these people were quite good at heart. So they had taken care of him and he was self-controlled. Once only by their permission I took the remnants of the food, and by so doing all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus being engaged, I became purified in heart, and at that time the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. Taking the food of others, it was a very it is a very beautiful thing that happens. You will find even in Ramakrishna Paramahansa's book, you will find that where Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to sit for eating his food, people would go out of the way to ensure that they are able to get something out of the plate, out of that thing that Ramakrishna ji used to eat. That is called prasad. There are a number of stories which are mentioned in every Puran. You will find that even Krishna, he went to Draupadi and he asked her, what is there in that pot of hers? He had given her that magic pot, okay? So she said, I'm sorry, there is nothing left. Finally, he found one grain. So he ate that grain and he said, oh my God, it's so nice. And what happened in that period? Durvasa Muni had come with an entire gang of people to eat food in her house, and they had gone to take bath. With this one grain which Krishna ate, all their stomachs were filled and they never came back. They disappeared from there only. So this is how Krishna works magic. So इसको हम लोग हिंदी में झूठन भी बोलते हैं, झूठन. What is left behind? But the great sages, after they eat, the food that is left behind, okay, it is called prasad. So people have something from it. Alright. So this is what. So he was very happy to receive from this Vedantist. The great Vedantists were there. So Narad Muni took a little food from there and he got purified. It's a purificatory process. You will find that is why the Bhikshande, people who go out and ask for Bhiksha. Again, if some of you have had that Janevu, ceremony, that they give you one danda and they will give you one katora and they say go and ask for Bhiksha. It's a part and parcel of our culture. So it also removes a lot of shame that we have. What is the shame? हम लोग किसी को पूछने से डरते हैं, हमारी नाक कट जाएगी बोलते हैं हम लोग. We are so much self, क्या बोलते हैं वो, ईगो इतना है अपना कि दूसरे को पूछने के लिए उनको तकलीफ होती है हमेशा. But when you come on the spiritual path, this is the first thing that is being taught to you. ये कटोरी ले और जाके भीख मांगो. The भीख मांगना is not for any purpose. It is so that you can leave your ego. The ego is मैं कैसे जाके मांग सकता हूँ. मांगना पड़ेगा सर. Go out, ask for it. And it's a very interesting thing. Yes, it removes ego. So like that. So I became purified in heart, and at the same time very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. Oh Vyasdev, in that association and by the mercy of these great sages, great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna, and thus listening attentively, my taste for hearing about the personality of God had increased at every step. So he was hearing about these beautiful stories as told by the Vedantist of the Lord. They used to read books after books after books and they keep on discussing amongst themselves. So by hearing them, वो हमको taste आ गया, बोला अच्छा है. A great sage, as soon as I got a taste of of Krishna, my attention to hear the stories of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings, for both the Lord and I are transcendental. You see, we have accepted this gross and the subtle coverings, no? The moment you understand that you are also from that divine realm as the Lord Himself, you will immediately be one with Him. So when you hear His stories, the stories are transcendental. They are very beautiful stories. And when you hear beautiful stories, you will become one with the Lord. Let us say, for example, as a child, we used to read a lot of stories. Think about it. As a child, I have read stories of Enid Blyton. I don't know how many of you read Enid Blyton, but if you have read Enid Blyton, you would love to read those stories once again. And then there are a number of characters in that. And then there was Alfred Hitchcock. And then there were many other stories like them. Okay. As we grew up, during my time again, it was James Hadley Chase. I don't know whether you know about James Hadley Chase, but James Hadley Chase. And after that came all those years, Ludlum and everybody. Ludlum is famous because now all those pictures are coming, no? So, spy stories and so on and so forth. And it went on. So, when you get a taste of a particular kind of a story, now all the women, all the, they have these, they have these beautiful stories called Mills and Boons. I'm sure you must have heard of Mills and Boons stories. Okay, Mills and Boons is there, and then there is another one which is called Silhouette Romance. Okay, and Babala Cartland and all those. Okay, they used to write all this kind of, and once you get the taste of it, you like to follow them properly, and you want to see their next book and the next book and the next book and the next book. Like Amitabh Bachchan's movies, one Amitabh Bachchan movie you liked and you want to see all Amitabh Bachchan movies. One Shah Rukh Khan movie you liked and then you want to say Dilwale Dulhaniya 100 times देखा मैंने. क्यों? I love yeah, now it is Ranbir Kapoor. Hey Jawani Devani, something like that. Okay. Now, kya? But that is how it is. So we love to do that. So Narad Muni also got very enchanted by the stories of the Lord. So during the 2 seasons, the rainy and the autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great soul sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of the devotional service began, the covering of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. So I used to listen to these people chanting all these beautiful stories. See, today if those people keep on chanting stories, first and foremost you will need somebody who is going to be an interpreter. एक तो अपने को संस्कृत समझेगा नहीं और दूसरा क्या बोलता है वो भी नहीं समझेगा. You try listening, okay? You try listening to the stories of Satyanarayan Puja that is going on in your house, and you'll keep on looking at his watch. बोला क्यों देख रहे हैं बॉस? अरे 1 घंटे में मेरे को है ना बांसवाड़ी जाने का है, उधर जाके एक पूजा है. बोला उधर का पूजा मैं 1.5 घंटे में खत्म करेगा, फिर उसके बाद मैं जयनगर पहुंचने वाला हूँ. उधर एक पूजा है, उधर बड़ा पूजा है, उधर 4 घंटा चलेगा. So this guy is always looking at his watch, and in the way he keeps on talking, you have hardly heard the stories. Okay, but as you go backwards in time, when I was a child, I used to have Satyanarayan Puja every year. Okay, and there used to be one Pandit ji who would come to my house. He would come at 8 o'clock in the morning, और 1 o'clock तक है ना वो पूजा ही बोलता था. And after every line he will say death tali, and I had to clap him every now and then. अरे बॉस तू आगे तो बोल स्टोरी. बोला सत्यनारायण की कहानी सुनाता हूँ मैं. एक बार एक राजा था, death tali. Oh God, I can imagine after every line he would punctuate with death tali, and I it was fun, and I used to love listening to the stories. But today it is fast forward, or that CD which is there of 1 hour or so, you put the CD on, you do your pujas and you finish it off, और खाना भी खा के सब हो गया. And this is what has happened today. So if you really look at it, there is hardly anything remaining. So in ancient times, if you knew Sanskrit and you could actually understand the connotations, the meanings and everything, you had to be a Narad Muni to understand that. So then you could get to the real essence of it. But अपने जैसे लल्लू पंजू अगर गए वहां पे तो बोला क्या बात कर रहे हैं, क्या पता है, तो उसके लिए 4 इंटरप्रेटर लगेंगे अपने को. बाय द टाइम ही इज ऑन द 10th लाइन, तो बोला वो फर्स्ट लाइन के बारे में बोल रहे थे तो क्या हो गया, अभी 10वीं लाइन में तो अपना स्टोरी भी एकदम टूटा टूटा रहेगा. सो बट इन केस ऑफ नारद मुनि इट वाज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग, he could understand everything. Okay, so I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In the heart, I had a strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses and I was strictly following them with my body and mind. So, what I did was I was listening to whatever they were saying, and they were Vedantists of a very high order. So, I was getting all the knowledge possible. So, what had happened was I had subjugated my mind. I was not listening to every other thing that was going on. I was focused in my world and I could completely focus on that with my body, mind, and soul. As they were leaving, these Bhakti Vedantis, who were very kind to poor hearted souls, instructed me in the most confidential subject which was instructed by the Lord Himself. So they instructed me also in the same knowledge which they were told by the Lord Himself. By that confidential knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of Lord Sri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. By knowing that, one can return to Him and personally meet Him. This was a question which was asked by Vivekananda to his Guru, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He wanted an answer of this. He said he had gone to all these Guru Ghantals all over the world, and finally he said, see, I have come to ask you only one question. You answer me that question, and if I get the satisfactory answer, I will stay over here, otherwise I'll go. What is the question? Have you seen God? Everybody was giving him round and round. चकली बना के स्टोरी देते थे उसको. चकली बनाने समझ में आता है? Not coming to the point, going round and round in circles. But here this man was there, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, who came straight to the point and said, yes, I know God, I have seen Him myself. Okay, so now that you have seen God, now I will stay with you, you show me them. So this is the same thing which was happening to Narad Muni. By that confidential knowledge, the knowledge that was shared with them, he could clearly understand the influence of the energy of Sri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. And by knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him. You can shake hands with him. Yeah, you can stay in his White House. Or I don't know whether it is White House or colorful Technicolor house. But must be a very Technicolor house. Oh Brahmana Vyasdev, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead. So you need to only focus on devotional service to the Lord. That's it. Oh good souls, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Yes, definitely. Something that is causing you some problems, if you use it therapeutically, you can cure yourself. Definitely you can. You know the smallpox vaccine is there. What is given in the smallpox vaccine? The dead germs are given. They are injected in you so that you can have immunity towards them. It's the same thing as diphtheria and paratyphoid and all those things. They are giving you the injection so that the same thing is used in a therapeutic way. Therapeutic means medical terminology where you are going to use these same things in the same way. You know, there was that black seed used to be there. अभी उसको है ना, अगर ऐसा बीबा बोलते थे उसको, बीबा सुना है? बीबा नहीं सुना? अभी बीबा के कपड़े देखे लेकिन बीबा नहीं सुना है. अच्छा, बीबा एक काला कलर का सीड रहता है, उसमें से अगर जूस निकला और आंख में गया ना तो यू बिकम ब्लाइंड. बट द बीबा सीड्स इफ यू rub it like this ना and then put it on your eye ना, it becomes hot. Okay? उससे तुम्हारे आंख में जो दुख दर्द होता था ना वो चला जाता है. So it's the same thing which is acting as a poison or as a medicine, both the cases. And we have one very important branch of science for curing diseases, that is called homeopathy. They use poisons for curing you in very minute quantity, 1 millionth part of something. Okay, ppm, 1 ppm, 1 part per million. Okay. So, oh good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by the very same thing? Thus, when all the man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which cause the perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. The same things which you are using for getting bound is going to make you unbound, is going to make you free. So, the same activities which are dedicated. Yesterday when Padma asked me the question, I told her a very simple answer. I said dispassion, detachment and discrimination. When you come into the spiritual world, you are having dispassion. You don't like this, I don't like that, ये अच्छा नहीं लगता, वो अच्छा नहीं लगता, और ये होता है. Starting में this is what happens. Then you get into detachment mode. Detachment mode means nobody is mine. Then what you are supposed to do? Use discrimination. What is the real from the unreal? Okay. Then what happens to your detachment, dispassion and all? Yes, you become passionate. You become attached. Whom do you become passionate and attached to? To the Lord himself. And when you become passionate and attached to the Lord, what happens? The same dispassion, the same attachment, everything is transferred from here to there. That's it. Material world say we are putting it at the feet of the Lord. So the same attachment is now being transferred to the Lord. The same passion is now going to the Lord. And this is what happens. So now you understand this. The same activities which caused him perpetual bondage. In the material world where you are keeping on, after continuously attachment and passionate about this and that, all that goes away. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga or transcendental loving of the Lord, and what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. It's a very strange line. Think about it. The moment you are on the devotional path, the Lord gives you certain jobs to do. That is the Swadharma, by the way. He gives you a certain jobs to do. And when you do that job perfectly to the T, that the mission is called the Lord's mission. That is called Bhakti Yoga. So you have got a very beautiful explanation of the Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is when you are doing the duty which the God has prescribed for you to do. So whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga or transcendental loving service to the Lord, and what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. Knowledge will automatically come to you. You don't have to say knowledge के लिए separate application देने का जरूरी नहीं है. एक application में सब fulfill हो जाता है. Single application में, because the Lord is telling you do this, and you are doing it perfectly to the T without questioning him, without even raising doubts or anything like that. You're doing it out of your belief, out of your faith, out of your devotion. You remember the 4 words which are very important. You use those 4 words and do your service to the Lord, whatever that he has told you to do. The moment you do that, knowledge will appear on its own to you. While performing duties according to the orders of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers his names, his names and his qualities. So while doing this devotional service to the Lord, you have to remember him. First, remember him, Krishna. You have to remember the Lord himself, his name. His name is the most beautiful thing. You see, if I keep on saying एश एश एश, मैं किसको बोल रहा हूँ किसी को समझ में नहीं आएगा, है ना. अभी मैंने बोला ऐसे हवे में बोला, can you just put off your microphones please? Whom am I talking to? Everybody will think he's telling पद्मा से ब्रिटो को बोल रहा है, ब्रिटो बोलेगा सेंथिल को बोल रहा है, सब जन एक दूसरे का नाम देखते बैठेंगे कि किसको बोल रहा है. सो वी आर नॉट डूइंग एश, ये नहीं कर रहे. तो नाम लेना बहुत जरूरी इम्पोर्टेंट है. नहीं तो नाम अगर बराबर नहीं लिया ना तो और कोई तो भी आके बैठेगा. So one constantly remembers his names and his qualities. What are his qualities? Whatever qualities that we have discussed so far. Let all chant the glories of Vasudev along with his plenary expansions, Pradyumna, Anirudh and Sankarsana. Sankarsana means Balram, by the way. So his 4 forms were there. When he went to Dwarka, remember he showed 1 form to Arjuna, 4-armed form. Then he showed another form of him, 2-armed form, and then he showed another form, multi-armed form. That was the Virat Swarup. But when he went to Dwarka, there were 4 forms of his which went, because his basic activities were over. So Krishna, next one is Balrama, that is his
Pradyumna.
brother, correct? Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Yes. Okay. So thus he, okay, we have come to the end nearly. Thus he is the actual seer who worships in the form of transcendental sounds representation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who has no material form. So somebody's again thing is on. He is the actual seer who worships. We have to worship this particular domain. Now we can't even call him God, that या ऐसा कुछ कोई नाम नहीं ले सकते. क्यों? Only when he has a form can we understand him. So we can worship him in the form of transcendental sound, Omkara. You can say Omkara also. He is in the form, the Vishnu, the form of the Supreme Consciousness is in the form of Vishnu. Okay, I told you, no, first, in the first domain he is in the form of Vishnu. There also he doesn't have any form. Okay. O Brahmana, thus by the Supreme Lord Krishna, I was endowed first with the transcendental knowledge of the Lord as inculcated by the confidential parts of the Vedas, then with the spiritual opulence, and then with his intimate loving service. So how did Narada get all his knowledge and stuff like that from? The devotional service to the Lord. The first, he was endowed with the transcendental knowledge of the Lord. He was already having some knowledge of the Lord. Then he was told the Vedas, remember the Vedantists were talking, so he could get some more from there. And then the third thing was, he was performing devotional service to the Lord. And that is the 3 ways in which he was able to achieve Lord himself. Please therefore describe the Almighty Lord's activities which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankerings of the great learned men and at the same time mitigate the sufferings, miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. So he is telling Vyasmuni, he says, so you please write about these things, write about or talk about these stories or glories of the Lord, so that I will also get a satisfaction, the whole world will get satisfaction, and listening to the stories of the Lord, we will be able to forget all our issues or problems, or we will be able to overcome our sufferings, and we will be able to do the devotional service to the Lord himself. And thus ends this chapter. Chapter 5, Canto 1. Okay. Now we are now in chapter 6. Alright. So now I will stop over here, and chapter 6 I will do tomorrow. Alright. So if